to an amazing series of YA novels, an insatiable thirst to relive the glory that is K.A. Applegate's literary masterpiece. This is Animorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Animorphs number 8, The Alien.
Hello, and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles, a Animorph podcast where we read through the Animorph series one book at a time, then talk about it every week. Today we'll be talking about Animorphs number 8, The Alien. My name is Mikhail, the host.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, the spermazoid just thrusting into the egg.
The first spermazoid dies. The first several ones die.
Also, it's spermatozoid.
I'm unsure if that's true.
Because they try and burrow into the egg wall, but they die before they can get there. So it's not like the first one to reach the egg is the one that impregnates it.
But if you penetrate the egg, you're the one that got through.
Yeah, but
that's
so the alien, okay. Animorphs number 8.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. This one was
Braden, why don't you refresh us on the plot of this book?
All right, so we open up with this really weird, surreal sequence of Axe being brought to the movies in human morph by all the other Animorphs, and just making a damn fool of himself real weird and quick. He decides he really likes floor chocolate, which he calls globules.
Which is, in an amusing sidebar, my older brother tried to convince me was pronounced the same way as globs, and that's just how it was spelled. He got me for about half an hour, and then I realized he's just yanking a chain.
Yeah.
Can
we just have another quick conversation about how what a fucking gorm Axe's human morph is?
His model is just always very when a cat is spaced out and surprised. That's the human morph.
He looks also like the kid is dressed in clothes that don't fit him in the picture on the cover.
Yeah.
Or the inside cover, I should say. It's like baggy. His pants are too big. His t-shirt is like an adult t-shirt tucked into his pants.
Was this the 90s style, though? Because flashing forward to the TV series, I'm remembering an outfit that Marco wore that was basically this. With a windbreaker,
and
maybe.
Could you normally see that much of his pants on top of his belt?
There's so many pants, so much pant on top of the belt. It's a real fashion problem. And, as it says in the book, Rachel dressed him. So the fashionista of the group dressed this alien boy, who in the middle morph is really, he's real bad. With those baby stock eyes and his, nose getting less slitty.
They leave eventually because Axe makes a fool of itself and assaults a child for his brown globules.
So bad.
Phrasing. But as they leave, they notice a crazy person yelling and screaming about getting his freedom and his mind back, and Yeerks. And they think, oh hey, a fucking Yeerk is dying in that guy's noggin, and he's gonna know, and he's gonna tell the cops and the hospital people, and then we're all good. And Axe, as our narrator, is everything's gonna be okay, guys. Little did they know, not everything was gonna be okay. And he informs us that the Yeerk are just gonna kill this guy. They're just gonna slip into his hospital room and just kill Bill him in his coma.
He implies that he's dead before he even hits the ground. There's this small cylinder that is pressed to the back of the guy's head.
That's when he hits the hospital. But yeah, some people inject him with a metal cylinder that apparently kills him and dissolves the Yeerk.
See, I actually thought that it was I thought that Axe was defamiliarizing a gun Because he's like, oh, I've never seen a human gun, so I called it a metal cylinder.
No, I think it's like I think it's just like a needle hidden in almost like an EpiPen.
Well, you figure you find out later because you see it again, right?
Uses one on a teacher.
Yeah.
That would be a hell of an image. Just
It's just he pulls out a fucking gun.
oh shit, he died of natural causes.
And I have to say, the injection doesn't cause the Yeerks to dissolve into dust. That's already something that they do biologically for whatever reason. Maybe because they live off of energy.
Yeah.
But like in book 6, when Jake's Yeerk is dying, he describes it like withering. Like he sees it on the ground after they go to hell. After they go to hell and they come back, it's on the ground and it withers and like dries up and dies.
Yep.
Yuck.
So that's just a thing that Yeerk biology does.
Yeah.
Woo.
So they move on, and Axe decides he wants to slip into the school, and he wants to hang out in a school for a bit.
It's not just him deciding, it's also the Animorphs being like, hey,
They back
you're one
him
of the
up.
team. Come to our school and let's hang out and be friends.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of
I
the
mean,
thing.
they try, but
enjoy
immediately
our culture, alien.
one of their teachers starts like un-yeerking, and Jake is like, yo, we got this, Holmes. And Axe is like, of course we do. Little did he know, we don't got this, Holmes. And the teacher is going mad, and he's like, it's okay, Mr. Poxon?
It was like
Pupson?
It was some
Paulson?
weird ass name.
Paulson?
No, it was
His
like
name was
foreign.
Robert Paulson. That's from Fight Club. It wasn't.
Fight Club has so many layers. They were all Yeerks.
No.
Bow, bow, bow.
No.
It makes the movie so much better if you think that they're just Yeerks trying to find their way and fit into today's IKEA culture.
You don't need to make Fight Club better.
Honestly, the first parts of like all this Yeerks like dying and stuff is super, super irrelevant to the plot of this
Yeah,
book.
I thought like something crazy was gonna happen in
Yeah.
school, like Axe was gonna fuck up bad, but then just like a teacher has a seizure and he's like, I'm gonna go.
And it has nothing
It
to do with the
doesn't-
rest of the book.
No, it's really
But-
all it does is tie up
Yeah.
loose ends from book 7 when
Yeah.
they destroyed the Kandrona, but it also starts with the burgeoning unrest of like Jake sees Chapman pull
Yeah.
the cylinder on the teacher and it's like, what, Axe, did you know about this? And Axe is like, dude, come on.
Come on.
Come on. The Yeerks, do you
on.
think this is the first planet the Yeerks have done? Come on.
They done did it.
They done did
They're
it.
gonna done do your brother, bro.
This is what they're gonna do. He's like, but my brother is a Yeerk. He's like, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Jake, you're my prince, but come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, Prince.
Come on, Prince.
Yep. Come on.
Yep. After that, Axe goes to Marco's place because they're gonna go to a bookstore and buy some human books. Oh, a really neat narrative thing that they've been doing with this one is they have like Axe has like journal entries at the top of some chapters.
Yeah.
And like his observations on like human culture and like quotes. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
One of my favorites is that he says, humans like to think that their music is good. It isn't. All of it is horrible.
That was an unnecessary
like-
jab, I feel
He's
like.
like, all of their music is horrible, but their food is really great. I was like, yeah, it's funny.
But while Axe is at Marco's place, he sees on his dad's computer this children's game where you have to correct spelling errors and then make the words spell correctly.
Well,
I don't think they're spelling
yeah.
errors. I think it's coding errors.
Yeah.
No, he thinks it's spelling errors. He says, "Oh, you have to correct the spelling errors."
He doesn't say spelling errors. It
He
just says errors.
says spelling errors.
Okay, we're stopping to consult the book.
Oh my
I'm
God.
positive it just says errors.
It super doesn't
Oh.
matter.
It's a
Anyway,
children's game.
it's a
where
children's game where you have to correct the errors, and he does, and then they leave, and then the next day they rush to get him, and they're like, "Axe, what did you do?" And he's like, "I just played your dad's game," and they're like, "No, that's super advanced, like astrology coding."
There's a funny bit where he's like, "No, I just played the game," and they're like, "No." Marco's like, "No, that's my dad's work." He's like, "Oh, your dad designs games for children." It's like there's so much good like
Banter?
Andalite miscommunication banter in this game. Like
Yeah.
earlier, they were like, "Don't Marco's like, okay, because you play around with sounds too much, you can only say yes and no to my dad. So then his dad walks in, and he asks these questions and is trying to have a conversation, and Axe is just yes, no, yes, no to all of them. So Marco's dad thinks that Marco has a friend named No.
The object of the game was to spot the errors in a primitive symbolic language and correct them.
Yeah, coding.
That's not.
You're both right.
Coding.
You're both right.
We're both right. Thanks, Mom. Anyway, so he does this coding thing, which basically makes the observatory code into a super telescope.
Yeah, and like apparently sends human science ahead by centuries.
Which is,
and it's like that's not
how technology
coding works.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, come on. The Andalites have been coding for like so long.
Yeah, in Andalite programming languages.
Come on.
Not in English.
Come on.
Fuck.
Dude, this is something that comes up in a later Marco book, but like math is the universal language, guys.
Cool. Coding is mostly letters.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Anyway,
Pretty sure coding is
Axe
just numbers.
Axe is like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Probably should go delete that. But also I could totally use it to contact my home planet. OMG. I mean, nothing.
And then everybody is just like, are you X? What's going on? Did you have an idea? And
No,
he says, no,
I didn't.
Nothing is wrong. I had no ideas. After this really long, awkward pause where like all four of his eyes are doing that like jitter around as if they're quickly reading text thing.
Little did they know, I did have a plan.
Axe, your thoughts speaking to everyone. We can hear what you're saying. What? No, I have no plans.
So he contacts Tobias specifically because him and Tobias are hella tight now. He says that he has this old there's this old Andalite term for a very, very close friend called shorm.
It's not old, it's just the current slang. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
There's a saying of close friend to you is a shorm, which is their word for their tail blade, and it means that you would trust this person to put their tail blade all the way up to your throat and not like try to bat them away or anything, because it's like they wouldn't kill me. They're my bestie. Yeah. And another thing that we establish in this is the Andalites have weird, like a fucked up morning ritual where they like praise the sun for a bit and like honor and freedom, and then put their own knife tail to their necks.
You find out in this book that the Andalite society is all about honor and has a very rigid code of honor and like who does what, and like the system is set up in a very particular way. So it talks about the morning ritual, it talks about a couple other rituals.
So Axe has a plan. He tells Tobias about it because he's like really close with Tobias. Tobias keeps his secret from the others. They go to the observatory. Axe contacts his home planet and like the like grand poobah of the planet, this Limel, I believe his name is, and he's like, "Hey, Prince Alfangor gave these humans the ability to morph," and he's like, I think you mean you gave them the ability to morph, because that would hella break our laws, and people could forgive you, but they won't forgive Prince Alfangor. And he's like, yeah, I totally did that, sorry. After that, he gets to talk to his dad for a bit, but then he is interrupted by a human controller who says like, hey, I got you by the fucking short hairs here, but I don't care about you. I fucking hate Visor 3 because this, like, starvation thing that's been going on lately killed someone that I care about. So here's where Visor 3 goes and eats with his Andalite body Sick'em boy.
Yeah.
Axe is like, oh, hell yeah. I gotta get down with that and probably die. Oh, shit. So he leaves. that everyone confronts him like, hey, Tobias is all fucked up. Obviously, he won't tell us what happened. Obviously, someone told him not to say anything. We know it was you. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything either. Okay, bye. And then runs away, not before having, like, his, like, final ritual that's, like, the ritual for Andalites who know they're going to die or whatever. And then he goes to this field where he knows Visser 3 is going to be, and then plans to get in a fight with him to try to assassinate him. But he almost gets killed by a Dork-Bajir in the middle of a transformation, and he's like, oh, poop, I don't have arms and legs. I'm pooped. But he gets
fight
saved.
Visser 3 before that happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
in a
Yes.
poisonous snake morph.
That's right.
Yeah, but he gets saved by the other Animorphs, and he's like, Tobias, you told them. And he was like, well, I guess I just had to follow orders. Oh, you cheeky cunt. And Axe was like, oh, yes, you cheeky cunt. And they go, and they fight their way through more Dork-Bajir, and they're like, Visser 3's dying, he's in his poisoned body, we gotta. And then Tobias was like, oh, what the fuck, he just crawled out of its ear and swam into the lake. And they're like, what the fuck? He can do that? And we're like, what the fuck? He can do that? And then they go and they meet Visser 3's Andalite body. And it's like, hey, please kill me. It'll be back. Please kill me. Also tell my wife and kids I love them. And then Axe is like, I know you're a super helpful weapon to the enemy, but I can't do it. And he's like, please kill me. Okay, bye. And they just leave this guy to be taken back by the Yeerks. And it's super cold.
Yep.
And the book ends with Aximile telling his human friends about Ciro's kindness. There was a war prince in the Andalite culture named Ciro who gave Yeerks the ability to travel the stars because he felt sorry for the little shits. They're slugs who were clamped onto the brains of barely functional monkey men, and he was like, you guys should be able to see shit. Oh, you guys can hook onto other things' brains? Oh, fuck, you're everywhere now. Oh, God, what have I done? And that's why they don't give lesser species technology or anything like that. And, but they're like, yo, it's all cool, dog. And he's like, yes, it is all cool, dog. You are my best friends. Yes, yes. And then he goes and he contacts his homeworld again, and he's like to the big grand poobah, like, hey, just wanted to tell you, Visser 3's body says, holla at your wife and kids. Yep. Also his wife and kids.
Pretty much.
And I'm gonna... Alfangor, these humans were brave enough for Alfangor. They're brave enough for me. Okay, thanks, bye.
And then he installs a virus that deletes all that technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like not how that works at all.
Not how
Technology works. I mean, that was how technology worked in the 90s, y'all. Windows 98 can hack into an alien software in Independence Day.
Okay, so
Axe can make a virus.
the real problem I have with it is that, like, he's writing software for a radio tower, right? Like, it's... You can't, like, make radio waves do something that they can't do with better software. It doesn't make any sense.
They can bend time and now see Z-space.
Ugh.
Which is the first thing that we hear about it. Is
you could just, like, maybe there's just... Because we don't know about Z-space.
This is the first we're hearing about it,
What if, like, they programmed the radio... Axe knows a way to program radio waves that, like, to get into Z-space. Because Z-space, it establishes, it's just like a blank white space with, like, nothing else in it. So, like, zero friction, zero things in between. It's like warp drive, essentially. Right. Could that speed up a radio wave?
I mean...
Sort of like...
He's got you there,
space.
Well, no, because, like, the problem is any argument that I have can just be, like, argued away by, like, hey, they made up this thing that's borderline magic because we can't explain it, right? So
because
every
the
answer
Elements
is just
invented
Z-space.
Mikhail. The Elements invented Z-space. You
We
can't
run an
argue with God.
Eberron setting. That's like 80% of Eberron. Is
Now we're
like
talking
it's
about
so
D&D in
advanced,
our
it's
Animorphs
indistinguishable from magic.
That's
I love
true.
your
Because it is
I love
magic.
your notes that you have about like reprogramming something without knowing the language is impossible. Bypassing a password by hacking is absurd.
Yeah.
The writer has no clue how computers work. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
But, you
because
know.
at one part he's like, oh, it has a rudimentary password system. And he kind of laughs, like Axe laughs to himself. And he's like, I instantly hack that. And it's like, that's no, like, you don't know the keys to like enter the BIOS to like read a language that you can barely understand to get through security systems on it. It just, oh.
He hacked into the binary of the computer.
Also, you can't do that.
In the computer.
Yeah, like he morphed into some data and like entered the computer. Like, it just,
basically.
it bugs me a lot.
He has 7 fingers on each hand. He can type extra fast.
That is
He
the
doesn't need
determinant
4
for
hands on there. He could just like type.
Yeah, when they were writing programming languages, it was like at any point, if anyone has more than 5 fingers, they will just blow the world away with how they can use this programming language. No,
Yeah, when Al Gore invented the internet, he was like, all you 6-fingered and 7-fingered humans have to get surgery to get that shit cut out. This is the only way the internet can work.
yeah, I have a lot of issues with the
Yeah.
tech. The tech stuff in this is like pisses me off so much.
I will say, if I may just jump in here, this is the book I've been waiting about for so long because, like, there was so much shit that kept happening in books 5 and 6 and 7 where you guys would be like, oh, Axe, like, what a fucking dumbass. Why doesn't he do this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, Axe knew about the elements, but he conveniently forgot to tell everyone. Well, you learn all about Andalite culture. It's so good. Hearing things from his point of view is so awesome. And, like, just how rigid and weird and kind of, like, lawful neutral, to borrow a D&D term, the Andalite culture is, and just its rigidity of thinking. Like, Axe has to take on the guilt of giving alien technology to the humans so that Alfenger's name won't be besmirched in his death.
The thing is,
And if Axe kills the fucking aberration, if he kills the only Yerk hosting, like the Yerk that's got an Andalite body, people will be like, well, you know, I mean, he kind of was noble in the end. And, like, that's all he could hope for. And he knows that. And that's fucked.
I think the problem that I have with Axe has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with the fact that, like, he's been able
just
to morph
racist
since
against
he was a
aliens.
child. And all of these, like, 5 humans who have just learned how to morph can get, like, instincts of animals under control in milliseconds. And he still can't stop himself from, like, foraging on a cinema floor.
I feel like
Well,
he just
has
has
he-
fun with that.
Has he been able to morph since childhood? I mean, he
And
has.
also this, like,
yeah,
we know
like
he has
we
the morphing
established that
technology.
it's a weapon to these people. When did
He's a
when
warrior.
did Axe get the ability to morph?
He's a warrior cadet, which is one thing that we learn about. Like, he's not even a full warrior. He was just in
Right,
school
but-
for it.
but when he was,
he's had
like,
barely
in-
any training.
When he was in the
also-
dome ship,
has-
he was like, oh, yeah, P.S. I just, like, fucking hacked this shark's DNA. No biggie. Like, it wasn't
No
like,
biggie.
oh, yeah, I had to, like, wrestle a shark and for the first time ever do it. Like, no, he was just like,
But that was his first morph, because he has never talked about morphing before the shark. He doesn't morph an alien, like, he doesn't morph like an Andalite bird when he's homesick.
so how does that
All he
explain?
does is look and find his stars. I think that Axe has never morphed before. I think he got the morphing technology, but was just like, whatever, it's for like spy shit, how good can it be? And then, oh fuck, I'm at the bottom of this alien ocean floor, I'd better morph something that can swim. So
Yeah.
he catches the shark.
Because, like, I thought that would be a big thing in, like, Andalite culture, like, becoming one with the animal or,
Yeah.
like, whatever. But, like, it kind of seems like it's just a tool to Axe. Like, oh, it's cool that they morph animals. It's great that Cassie's so good at it. Oh, it's awesome that this snake is so fast and has poison. It's not, there's no poetry for it to him. There's nothing...
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think it was in this book where he mentions like some people make it
make it look beautiful. Some
beautiful
people have
if they
talent.
train to make it an art form. But like, I get the sense that it's not really a thing that Andalites really use. It's technology, but like humans understanding programming. It's not something that everybody
I think
does.
what it is, and there's a clue to it in the book. He's like, I am a stupid Andalite. Like, I'm not even like up to the standard of what an average Andalite is. And so by that standard, he's way worse at handling his morphs than any of the other Animorphs.
I feel he's okay at handling the animal morphs. I think it's just when he's a human, he just like, taste is awesome. He's never tasted anything before, and he's just like,
oh my god,
I've never been. Nobody's thought I was an Andalite yet. Let's just go ham wild,
guys.
Ham wild.
He's going through puberty 4 times.
Oh yeah. Also this.
Wait, how is it 4 times?
I guess 3 times.
Oh, because of the 3 DNAs that got mixed together?
Yeah.
Well, it was 4 DNAs, you're right.
He's going through triple puberty every time he morphs into a human.
Yeah.
Well, it's quadruple, you're right.
Quadruple puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because there's 4 of them. Quadruple puberty, as well as his own Andalite puberty brain in there. And I think it's just, I feel like he feels no need to be subtle at this point. Like, the other Animorphs are like, oh, god damn it, Axe, like, control yourself. But, like, nobody has ever been like, oh, are you, like, some kind of weird alien kid? No, they just, strangers see him, and literally, like, the whole movie theater thing happened, and he didn't hear anybody be like, oh, that kid's a fucking alien. Like, so he's just like, yeah, these humans just don't give a shit. Enough of them act weird that I can be weird and not get caught.
I like how this book also is basically it's like all the questions that the readers have about what Axe's deal is just gets channeled through like hard. Like there was no real there was only a little bit of like overall plot. Most of it was like the other Animorphs being like, how do you eat? How do you do this? But it only raises even more questions for me, because at one point he's like, oh, I morphed into my human morph with clothes on.
Oh.
Don't you guys see how fucked up that is?
Was weird at the I remember that. That was fucking weird.
He morphs into his human morph with the morphing outfit already on.
Yeah, because he put it on in book 4.
Right. But does that mean that if you put a spandex tube on a hedgehog and morph it, you were wearing that tube every time you morph it? That doesn't make sense.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. I think
wear
uniforms. They just don't. Fucking Marco's goal of wanting them to be in uniform since like book, what was it, 2? And they talk about it. It could be a reality, y'all.
It would completely defeat the purpose of the morphing.
They could have fucking uniform. I feel like it's just one of those things that all of these kids are so busy and like they're going to school as well as fighting crime, guys. So I just feel like none of them have thought about this. But come on, you put a spandex tube on a hedgehog. Will you morph with it? You must. You have to.
Also, were you as frustrated as me as to the fact that, like, literally no one has asked him how he blended their DNA yet?
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of like, dude.
That's fucked. I don't like that at all.
Because that would be so handy, especially in like fucking book 14. They have to morph an animal, but like, okay, book 14 has a horse on the cover, so they have to morph horses. But, like, the horses in Cassie's barn have distinct markings. Yeah. So it becomes a whole escapade so that they don't show up looking like identical horses. And it's like, well, what if Axe just taught you the technique of blending and you could all be different fucking horses?
Yeah, and if the theory of him being a shitty morpher is true, this must be a basic-ass technique that anyone can do.
I don't know if he's a shitty morpher. I think he's just inexperienced.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah,
but
like, generally just stupid.
Yeah, and I feel like, sorry, I'm just going down to Visser 3 is an idiot for not seeing the snake in the grass. That's one thing I was also like kind of taken aback by Visser 3 not doing, like, Axe was only in the meadow an hour before Visser 3 got there. Visser 3 didn't have tighter security on this place. What the fuck?
Also, just like he's always talking about it. He's got like 4 eyes, and Axe saw the snake and
No, Tobias
Axe
saw
stopped the
the
snake.
Tobias
with the
saw the
rattle.
snake. Axe saw the snake as it was striking him. He was lucky it just hit his hoof. So that was the thing. So I think
So friendship saved the
saved the
day.
day. And I have to correct something Brayden said. They weren't shorms. Like Axe had this whole thing in the middle of the book where he was like, if there was like, I could never be close friends with any of the humans because Andalite law and everything.
wow.
But if there was one that I could be close with, I think it might be Tobias. But
And
like,
then
really,
by the
I
end of
couldn't
the
be
book,
close.
they
And
are
then
shorms.
by the end, he's just like, yeah, you know what,
Yeah,
you're
they're
my shorm.
shorms.
But
Speaking of shorms,
Apparently, Yerks can shorm on each other.
ooh,
yeah, because at one point the controller who betrays Visser 3 is like he uses the female pronoun to talk about this Yerk that died, and it was like whoa. Pump
here's the thing though, he
brakes.
also first introduces himself as his host name. So I think he fell in love with her and calls her her she. He uses she her pronouns because she was in a lady morph, or not a lady morph, a lady human who used those pronouns. I feel like Yerks will just take on the persona of whoever they're in. And Yerk goes, Visser 3 goes by he, him, because he's in,
Maybe.
Lauren, who's a
Or
dude.
maybe this was the 90s and they didn't want to make it
Yeah.
look like there's any other genders. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I think that's a lot more likely
Yeah.
because it's like that. Like even implying that they're like no gender is pretty like progressive for a 90s book.
I mean, wait till you get to book 16 and you find out how Yerks have sex.
Interracial.
I'm into it.
Interracial sex. That's okay, but really, that's the true OTP alert. And this is where you would put the sting.
Oh my god, right.
OTP alert is like the two Yerks who are in love. Like this.
The one's dead.
Yeah, the one of them is dead. But like, oh my god. This guy will kill the entire Yerk invasion of Earth because Visser 3 fucked his girlfriend. And just killed her dead. He's just like, all right, well, fuck your whole job and your whole deal. You're dead, and all of the other Yerks who like human bodies, they can just fuck right off because you killed my girlfriend.
Also, OTP alert. Cassie and Jake, apparently. Cassie comes to talk to Axe in a meadow and is like, what aren't you telling us, Axe? And he's like, you know, I see you and Jake holding hands sometimes. What does that mean in Earth culture? And she's like,
It's actually really cute because he's
It's
like, what does Jake mean to you? And she's like, he means them as much as anybody else. He's like, yeah, but sometimes you hold hands. And Cassie's like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that.
yeah.
Hey man, Andalites fuck.
Andalites and teenagers both fuck.
Just wait till you get to book 13.5 and you find out how Andalites kiss.
With their
That
hooves?
reminds me.
Oh, it's better.
Okay, so do you guys know? I couldn't actually find it, which it was weirdly hard to find. But when was Megamorphs #1 published? It was published after this book, right?
It must have been published before. I mean, I didn't research. I know in the release order, it's between 7 and 8 because they talk about it in book 8. That's the whole reason why they want to.
But remember how a lot of the books got updated.
What?
What?
A lot of the books got
They
rewritten.
got some of
You don't
some of
remember
them
that?
got rewritten and got re-released, but they only went up to book 7, man. Because none of them were
Oh, not
selling.
book
They didn't
8.
go past book 7. They didn't do any of the Megamorphs, from what I know.
Oh.
They just did 1 to 7.
Okay, so it must have been released before this because they mentioned the Velik pretty.
Like in
distinctly.
the very beginning, they talk about Jake's we have had a bunch of crazy battles, and that's the whole thing why they want to. Excuse me. That's the whole reason why they want to relax with the movie theater and with taking Axe to school.
Yeah.
Is because they've had a bunch of crazy battles. They killed the Kandrona race. They had that whole thing with the Velik. It's time to chill. Jake is everybody is on maximum chill time.
Oh, so does this mean that Cassie and Jake are essentially the 90s YA novel equivalent of undercover fuck buddies? They're
Yeah.
we can't really start a relationship,
Not
but obviously, so let's hold hands. Ugh,
Not real fuck buddies.
hold them hands, baby.
Oh, gross.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kate, stop
That's-
that.
oh,
Stop,
that's-
stop that.
Oh shit!
Hey, They're not fuck buddies.
Your hands are so sweaty.
They're not fuck buddies. They're love buddies. Okay.
Aww.
All they do is hold hands and give each other's like. Wasn't it Marco's book in book 5 when he's like sometimes they'll just give each other these pathetic looks when they're about to die and like act like nobody notices.
I don't think he says when they're about
Or
to
like I think he's like when we're about to do some crazy mission
When
that
they're
we're all
about
gonna
to
die
have
from.
the little death. That is sick.
God damn it.
I'm angry with how well I set you up for that. I'm so angry with how well I unintentionally set you up for that. Anyway, I love X, and this is one of those books where his story is so well written. Like his character voice is so well written. The boy hardly uses contractions.
I still think that he's like the butt of the joke.
Dude,
honestly,
it's because his butt is way bigger than all the humans. Because he's got a big horse butt.
I think it's like, yeah, this does help a little bit, but there's so many things that I still have a problem with. Like, for one thing, I think he's making the rest of the team stupider and like less vicious. Why didn't Rachel kill Alaran?
Okay, none of them wanted to kill Lauren because they felt that it would be. They were confronted with humanity. They were looking at this creature who was not the enemy. I mean, they have a problem killing human controllers already.
Oh shit! You know what they should have done? They should have grabbed his DNA. That was a good harmony on that one.
I felt it.
But can you imagine how deadly that would have been?
Yeah, that would
That
have
would
been
be
fucking
so.
sick.
That would be fucking OP as hell. They could just have 7 Visser 3s running around,
And they would have known exactly like everything that Visor 3 knows because they have like
Yes.
the Andalites' memories.
No, I don't think you get memories when you morph somebody. You just get their instincts and stuff.
Yeah, but still, pretty badass if they
And they
all
all
could have
done it.
morphed
They could have
Visser
done a
3.
whole thing about like, no, shoot
Wait.
this one because he is
they-
obviously the copy.
Could they morph into Visor 3, like Visor 3's Andalite, and then morph into that guy's morphs?
See,
Boom.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I don't know if they can morph into his morphs, but as their Visser 3 morph, could they acquire other guys? Is it just like a Matryoshka doll of morphing?
No, I don't. I think okay. So I
crazy
think
can
what
we
would have
get?
happened. Well, I think what would have happened was they would have been able to morph Visser 3 without the morphing technology.
Oh, right,
that
because
he
it is a
got as
technology.
child.
You have to absorb it, and their morphs
Yeah.
wouldn't have it. That makes sense.
Also, I bet you that if they could have morphed any of his morphs, it would have been like a reverse Inception time shift thing, where like instead of 2 hours, you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, it just goes extra
Do you know what I
fast.
mean?
How
Yeah.
sick would that be, though?
I still think they should have
If it
grabbed
was
it.
like, if you morphed into a thing and then gave that thing morphing power and then morphed into another thing.
This was my whole thing with the you take the DNA of your grandson and live your entire life over again and give yourself morphing powers again.
Oh,
Then you live infinite
can you
lives.
give a morphing powers though?
But you can give a Nothlit.
Can you?
I don't
we
know.
don't know. I don't think you can because
don't know.
that's the thing that Axe is always worried that Tobias is going to ask him about. Like, hey, what if we find a copy of what if you just fart out a blue box or something at some point, and like if I touch
Yeah.
it to me, will it work? Like, I don't know if Nothlits can morph anymore. That's why Axe doesn't. I feel like after he already broke Zero's kindness, like he already broke the law, and he's telling them all this stuff. He doesn't bring it up because he knows it's not possible. Otherwise, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Tobias, if we ever find a morphing cube, I have no idea if it's ever going to happen. Please don't play with stuff while I'm talking. Like,
right.
come on, the mic's going to pick it up if you cling shit together." But, like, I feel like he would have brought it up if it was, like, you know, if we ever... Not saying this is going to happen, but because it's a book and I'm mentioning it might happen. Like, if we ever run into a morphing cube, we'll just touch it to you, Tobias. Like, I think he doesn't bring it up because it would never happen.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, he does touch on
You
that.
know. Don't pretend you don't know.
I'm pretending for your sake. But, like,
Who knows?
I don't, like...
Anything could happen in this crazy world. Speaking of things that might
C-space.
happen, Brayden, why don't you take a look at the cover for Animorphs number 9, The Secret, and hit us with your predictions.
Yeah, get them predicty poos out.
It's Cassie, and she's sitting cross-legged, and she's morphing into a sitting wolf.
It's not even a sitting wolf.
And
it's a standing wolf. The wolf is
Yeah,
standing.
and it says
sitting.
no place to run.
No, the wolf is
no
standing.
place to
Look at
hide.
all four paws are on the ground. It's just got terrible, like her flannel shirt is on the wolf's legs. It's this terrible Photoshop.
How do wolves wear pants? Wolves wear pants like, or like, gosh,
Quality. That
So-
first Photoshop image where she's half wolf is just so horrifying.
Looks like a gazelle.
Instantly, because her face and the wolf's face are on different profiles. It's like when I used to try drawing dogs when I was 14. They just looked so smashed up.
Anyway, so, okay, Animorphs, number 9, The Secret, with Cassie. No place to run, no place to hide, so there's a secret. It's about time. It's Cassie's. I think they're just establishing that all this, like, sickness and, like, starvation is happening through the Visor ship, but they haven't really pulled the trigger on it yet. Jake hasn't said come yet. I think somebody's gonna find out how to...
Somebody's gonna find out how Andalites eat. Boom! They'll be in a
Rona. Maybe more Yeerks are gonna come and, like, fucking bother them about, like, hey, we need to betray Visor 3 because he's a cunt. And they're gonna have to keep it a secret. I don't know, that's the best I got right now.
I don't know. I'm not excited for it. I hate Cassie books.
Maybe she has to, like... Cassie's thing is she's,
Shit,
like,
that tells
struggling
you
with
too much.
working with Yeerks.
work, and then with Yerk. How do I balance my work and my Yerk life? Work, Yerk, balance.
5 easy steps. You'll never believe step 4.
Never believe step 4.
You'll never believe step 4.
It's like that meme.
It's
Help! I'm
slathered
trying to
peanut
balance
butter.
my time. Animals, 20%. Life, 20%. School, 20%. Yerk killing, 80%. How do I make more time? Stop killing Yerks? No, I can't.
So next week in our bi-weekly episode of Live for the Gardens, we'll be talking about the Pacific rattlesnake and the human being, the two morphs from this book, Animorphs number
Wait, the
8,
what?
the alien.
The Pacific
And
rattlesnake.
the following week, we'll be talking
chose one
about
specifically.
Animorphs number 9.
No,
The
what was
Secret.
that second one?
Until then, my name is Mikhail, the
I'm
host,
Tessa, the expert.
I'm Brayden. What the fuck's a human?
and this has been Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. If you're looking for more Fanimorphs content, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search for Fanimorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. Brought to you by
Collective Legacy.
a podcast network.